Greetings and welcome to episode 2 of Hall of Fame, a monthly video series here at Words About Games where myself, Keith, and Patrick, who have both joined me here, we make a Hall of Fame. It's an exponentially growing list of the best of the best of the best of video games. Now, you might be watching this video wondering, where's Amy? I can't see her. Look up to here in the top right hand corner of the screen and you'll see me in a tiny video box.
Yeah, I mean, we once said we would never return to Skype.
And it turns out that was a good thought.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have conflicting schedules at the moment. And right before we recorded this, Discord sent out a new update, which has totally turned off the ability of anyone not using a Mac to use their video on call. So it's this, or random.
Just Patrick and a couple of avatars.
Yeah.
So you've got those two, and if you look up, I'm up here. I'm so tiny, it's ridiculous. So let's get this show on the road because, let's do, about you, I'm big. I think he's going to try and grab me. Yeah.
So where would you be? Hang on.
No.
Oh.
Keeps getting close. Yeah. My feet. That was the intro, and then the explanation of why this video looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Hopefully Discord fixes itself by the next time we have to do something like this. Okay, so we're going to do one game each, and we're going to induct it into the Hall of Fame. If you look in the video description, below the video on YouTube, below Keith and Patrick, you can see a link to a spreadsheet I've made, which I'm going to continually update with all the games that we've inducted into the Hall of Fame. This time round, because we pick who goes first based on ridiculous stuff. Last time we rolled for initiative. This time the order is going to be decided by the number of the day of your date of birth. So I don't know how better to describe it. I've been trying to figure it out. The first number, like I was born on the 7th of June, therefore my number is 7.
Is it lowest wins, like
No.
closest to 1?
Highest wins. The highest number wins. You need to actually tell me what the number is.
Oh, I was born on the 22nd.
So was I.
Oh shit.
So let's reverse it, and Amy goes first.
Shit. They caught me out. Now they know I couldn't remember what their birthday is. Fuck. Okay, so I guess I'm going first. Alright. Teeny tiny me is going first. Can someone just move their lips to my, to make me look like this is like a bad Japanese dub? Yeah, that works. That works. So I'm going to induct. So last time I inducted God of War because I wanted to do this whole thing. I'm doing this whole thing where it's because when I talk about my favorite games of all time, I generally talk about older games. So I'm kind of forcing myself to do a newer game, an older game, a newer game, older game, newer game. And it's older game time. So I'm going to induct the game that everybody probably thought I was going to induct last week in the very first episode, which is Final Fantasy VII. Don't boo me. This isn't a booing show. Just because I'm tiny doesn't mean I can't kick your ass. Down there with all of your full resolutions and giant video things.
I mean, just remember, Patrick, just because it's even smaller, she does have a tiny psychopathic Mario staring over her left shoulder.
Yes, and it's even creepier now because he's about this big to everybody else. Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite games of all time. I imagine that's a statement. That's not a uncommon thing to hear, though, right?
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of people say that about Final Fantasy VII. And obviously, just to clarify, I am talking obviously about the original, not the remake that I haven't played yet.
Not the complication, not Dirge of Cerberus, not Crisis Core.
I'm sure there was another
PC port.
No, I think we all knew which one you were talking about.
Kind of the PC port. That was the last one I played, but that's because I downloaded and fixed the music. No, the original PlayStation 1. It was the first game I played where... It wasn't the first game I played. It was the first game... That was an unfortunate place to pause. It was the first game I played where I stayed up, like, super, super late to watch it, on to play it on school nights. Like, because I would just, like... Well, one, I'd try and find a bloody save point. And two, like... I just wanted to see what happened next. Like, it wasn't about playing the game and having fun, although I did both of those things. It was because it was telling a story, and it was a story I was very, like, gripped by. And I don't think there'd been any games I'd played up until that point where I'd played a game and it was like the story was really, like, getting me. Whereas before it would be like I'd play Tomb Raider because it, jumping puzzles and T-Rexes. Or, like, I'd play Mario Brothers because jumping. No T-Rexes. And stuff like that. So, like, playing, like, Final Fantasy VII was like, it's a story. I love this story. It's really great. Oh, no, what's happening at the end of this disc? I'm sad now. Please insert disc 2. I can't.
I know, I'll deal with my pain by going snowboarding.
What's this? Why am I snowboarding down a mountain for 20 minutes? I'm
gonna go breed some chocobos.
Yeah, because that's it, isn't it? You finish the first disc and then just cry for the rest of the entire game.
Which is sort of one that I don't want to turn this into here is my list of problems with Final Fantasy VII. So but it kind of sort of does sort of draw attention to its massive tone problem.
Yeah, that's fair.
When it's cool cyberpunk adventures and Cloud's riding on a motorbike and it's all this grim dark story about this corporation taking over the planet, like, that's fine. When Cloud has to cross-dress to break into a gangbanger's house and gets raped by bodybuilders, that's when it's a bit weird.
Okay,
yeah.
One, that's only if you go in the room on the left, I think. You can go in the room on the right and not get gangbanged. That's what happened to me when I was a kid. That never happened when I played the game for the first time. But yeah, no, it has tonal inconsistencies, of course. I mean, that is, like, dark. Like,
I'm wondering if that makes an appearance in the remake.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's getting cut like hell. I'm guessing the posthumous snowboarding is going to get taken out as well, because it is literally the first thing that you do after Eris dies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Spoilers, I suppose, for Final Fantasy VII.
Climb up the thing, go outside, you dodge the punch, she rolls down the hill. It's a whole thing. But, it's still my favourite game of all time. Like, I purposefully started with the modern game last month, just purely because I could, like, confound people who would be like, well, she's obviously going to pick Final Fantasy VII. Like, you're absolutely right. But I'm not going to pick it first, damn it. Like, I love everything about it. I love the music. I love the story. I love the characters. All of the characters. I had to think for a second there. Is there a problematic character in there? No. In the core 9 characters?
I feel like there was. There was. I'm just trying to remember who.
There's a strange one. Like the one.
The Turks?
I mean, the Turks will just beat them up every now and again. For, like, cool stuff, because they always had, like, cool drops. I love the active time battle system. I love the materia system.
See, I kind of hate it because I just think it should just be turn based. And this isn't just a problem with Final Fantasy VII. In fairness, I think they have all the active time battle systems starting from 4. I think. Sorry, this is meant to be the happy podcast where I don't criticize.
It's a positive podcast. We need to be positive.
Well, I don't be like, no, 5.7's overrated. Zelda's much better. 5.6 is much better. So it's rubbish. I don't like the PlayStation. I know that Robert defeats the point, so I'll just.
I like slotting in all the different materials and, like, all the different slots, like not having necessarily strict classes as well. For progress. Like, you can make anyone like use all of the magic. You can make anyone a healer. You can not equip all the materia to somebody because you're like, what, 14 at the time, and you don't realize that that's why they all have like 6 health because they're all overloaded with materia and it lowers their health. I was such a dumbass when I played games, man. When I was growing up, like, I never took the time to understand how they worked.
Indeed.
Like, oh man, I feel like there's probably games I've written off that were like absolutely amazing, and I just went, I don't understand this. It sucks. Funny, actually, I did that with Final Fantasy VII. I got stuck on the tail bit because of the mistranslation.
That's the other. I think the single biggest problem with Final Fantasy VII is its localization is really rough and in need of an update.
Well, good news.
Yeah.
They're remaking the whole game.
Which is the only thing you can do, because unlike the 2D games, like the early 3D looks really rough and it needs to be remade.
For someone who streamed the game in its entirety at the like beginning of this year, like, it 100% doesn't hold up graphically in any way. Like, no part of that game I look at and go, wow, that looks really good. Like, it blew my mind in 1997, and in 2019 it was like...
I'm trying to sit my hands and say, you need to play Final Fantasy VI because it's better and the localization is better and it holds up better because the 2D has aged better, and all the things you're describing that are good are in Final Fantasy. All the things that are good about Final Fantasy VII are in Final Fantasy VI.
I know. And they're in Final Fantasy IX, which is objectively the best Final Fantasy game ever made. Final Fantasy VII is my favourite game. I never said it was the best game.
I'm just remembering back when we did the first one of these, and it was like, I don't want to hear a single negative thing about any of these games. We're going to go all positive, we're going to be all brilliant. And the two of you just sort of like argued about Final Fantasy. And
I don't think Final Fantasy VII is bad. But it's a game that I came to relatively late on PC and then only finished when I was at university. So this was when like Advent Children came out.
I only started playing it. I played a little bit when it first came out because my brother had a PlayStation and I didn't. And I only actually tried to properly play it when Final Fantasy VII Advent Children came out, because that film was amazing.
The film was amazing. But no, it's one of my favorite games of all time. It came around at the right time as well.
Yes, I think that's the thing that it did really well. Is it broke the mainstream in terms of what an RPG could be. It's like the first sort of like mainstream blockbuster JRPG in the West, and I think that's what you pick up from a lot of people when they talk about it. Is this is to all intents and purposes people's first JRPG. Which is how it's able to get away with the fact that a lot of what it's doing, narrative aside, is not terribly original. Like, mechanically, it's not that dissimilar from Final Fantasy VI at all. Where it sort of breaks ground is in the setting, is moving it fully into science fiction and cyberpunk.
Yes.
Which I think is what it does really well. And where I think it sort of gets a bit weaker is when you leave Midgar, it turns into regular Final Fantasy. And it's like, no, I want to go back to the city and hang out there because I haven't done that before.
I mean, you get to go back eventually. But the theme of like death and loss was quite personal for me at the time, because I was just dealing with those things myself. And then Final Fantasy VII comes along and has this whole game where like that's what it's all about. So like it resonated with me like really on a really personal level, while also being an excellent story.
I think Sakamoto said that he was dealing with that stuff at the time as well. Like I think it was the death of his mother had happened not long before, and he was thinking about death and loss and where we go when we die and how people stay with us, and that's sort of the idea behind the live stream.
Yeah, I think it definitely shows through in the game. And like I was dealing with the loss of one of my grandparents at the time. So it was kind of like, I'm angry and sad and confused, but this game is also angry and sad and confused, and it gets where I'm coming from. So like there was that, and obviously like it broke the mainstream in a way like no JRPG had before.
And it sort of went there in terms of character death as well, and that Eris dies and stays dead.
Stays dead. It's like this is a video game. You don't lose in video games. If you lose, you just get a game over screen and you try again.
Yeah,
Not at the end of disc 1.
which I like that you can't bring it back because it's like it's not cheapened in any way by having some stupid moment where she comes back at the end and she might not
Pops
be
out on the
dead.
live stream and be like, check it out, and like slices me ear in half with a sword or something.
Which is probably one of the problems with Advent Children is they kept sort of bringing her back.
Ish. Yeah, I get that.
It's like, how is Cloud supposed to get over your death if you're still kind of around?
You're just driving a motorbike through a forest, and then boop, there we go, and the music.
To be fair, that entire film is about the fact that Cloud hasn't been getting over people's deaths.
Yeah. Let's move on because we're talking about movies now. Now who goes next? Because if you
I'll go with Patrick, because Patrick was our guest.
Okay.
It's all three.
So the thing I want to talk about, because it just came out like a month ago, came back out again on Switch. So I want to talk about Doom.
Okay.
Because it's easy to talk about Doom in terms of like how it's important because it's popularized first-person shooters and it's metal as fuck. But I think the thing that sort of stuck out playing through the first Doom again, for the first time not on the SNES, is Doom's still really good.
It is
like
really
it's
good.
still really fun to play. Like it's still like really like rock solid and smooth. And that's on top of all the sort of influence it has in terms of its influence game mods. How many games started as Doom mods at this point? It's
quite a few. Did John Romero just make one, or am I tripping?
He was doing something, I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure there was something to do with the original Doom that John Romero just released. No, Doom is fantastic.
Yeah, it's got like this really cool heavy metal aesthetic, this sort of hybrid science fiction horror thing, sort of presaging Event Horizon by a few years where, you're a Marine in space and then you go to hell.
Just to clarify, which Doom are we talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, which Doom? The original one, the one from 1993? 94?
90s Doom.
The 90s Doom.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think we might have been barreling towards a misunderstanding if we kept that
I was
conversation.
having that moment where it's like you can get different versions of Doom on Switch. Which one is he talking about?
All right, yeah, Doom 20. Doom 2016 is really good.
Yes, I'm sure we're gonna get.
1993 was when Doom first came out.
But yes, the original Doom was also fantastic.
Doom. The 20. I'm talking about the original one. So,
yes.
But the reason I think Doom 20. Well, there's many reasons Doom 2016 works, but it also gets what Doom is. That it's supposed to be sort of fast-paced and ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Certainly compare and contrast Doom 3, which by no means bad, is certainly sort of living in a post-Halo world and sort of trying to
survive it. I love the original. It was one of the first-person shooters, more or less.
It's really cool, and it's got a really great atmospheric soundtrack that's ripped from Metallica and Pantera songs.
E1M1.
Which is Master of Puppets.
Yeah. E1M1. I think people say that in my chat sometimes on Twitch when we're talking about music and what I listen to. I've had at least one person just be like, E1M1. And what's weird is, I know exactly what they're talking about. It's like, he goes, E1M1, and I'm like, oh, Doom. Yeah, of course. Because that's what the song's called. Because it's a soundtrack I've listened to outside of the game. I don't have many memories of playing the game, though. Like you have to refresh my memory on that one, because I haven't really played it in 15 years.
Well, I first played it on PC at the Cubs, funny enough, where I was getting my computer back.
Hold on, wait a minute. So number one, for everybody who's not from the UK, please explain very briefly what the Cubs are, so that they will explain my laughter.
It's the Boy Scouts. It's like when you're a kid, so when I was aged between 9 and 11. So one of the badges I was working towards was computing, and on the day of the event, there was someone running Doom, and it blew my tiny little mind. It's like, wow, this is cool. This is a video game from someone's point of view, and it's metal as fuck.
And I have a shotgun.
From someone's point of view.
Well, shut up, okay? It was the early 90s. And I was like, what, 10? Like, it was cool at the time.
It's cool now. But
it's cool now.
That might be one of the best stories I've ever heard about how you got, like, oh, where did you play this game? At the Cubs.
Yeah. But then I didn't have a PC, so the version I played the most of is the SNES version, which is not a good version of it at all.
I never had a SNES.
Well, it's kind of a technical marvel that Doom even runs on the SNES, but it's not a platform that it's really designed for in mind. It's just like really slow and choppy. The soundtrack comes through though, because the SNES sound chip was absolutely bitching. Yeah, and it's an important game. It popularizes first-person shooters. There was a half-decade period before Halo, well, before GoldenEye really, where that's kind of what shooters were.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, before Half-Life,
like
before things were sort of...
Yeah, you can chart the big moments of like first-person shooters throughout history really easily, and like Doom is more or less at the beginning of that sort of line. Yeah.
And also, I suppose it's worth talking about the fact that it was controversial as fuck because it was satanic and violent and got blamed for Columbine, which I don't really want to go into because it's because it's depressing. But you know, it's part of the template of the video game controversy.
Yeah, the original video game controversy.
No, not the original, but certainly perhaps. Along with Mortal Kombat, the one I was sort of aware of, like when I was in school, the one sort of people warned me about, and it's probably because Doom was shareware and could run on everyone's computer, and everyone was playing it on their off time.
In the Cubs.
So much like Fortnite, it became this thing that was really popular that everyone knew about, that crazy people could go after because everybody knew what Doom was.
Yeah, shorthand, like everybody calls games consoles Xboxes in the last generation, regardless. It's a cool game, though. Very cool game.
It still is. It still works. I mean, if you watch the Digital Foundry video about it, the latest version's not quite what it should be, but it's a perfectly serviceable port.
That's good. I might pick it up one day. One day. Anyway, Keith, I guess you're going last.
Yes. So I came in with two ideas, and I've been listening to you, and I've decided to pick a game that sort of like interweaves with both of your games slightly from the stuff you've said and brought up, Bob.
Deus Ex.
Yeah, that would do it. Yeah, that's probably the one.
So
what game connects Final Fantasy and Doom?
So
Final Doom.
I hate you.
Do it.
Let's withdraw ourselves back into the mists of time. We're not going too far back.
I forgot you do proper stories with your picks, don't you? Yeah.
We're going back to September 2010. The 14th, to be precise. To a game which sold made $200 million on its launch day. And is a prequel.
I know what it is.
Yeah. One of my picks is Halo Reach. Now, Halo Reach is an amazing, fast-paced first-person shooter. Wonderful graphics, great gameplay, but does something a lot different than most first-person shooters. And I say most because Spec Ops: The Line exists. It kind of shows you what every other single Halo game doesn't, which is you don't always win. Sometimes you lose really badly. And a no-win scenario does exist. And it does this throughout the game. I mean, people who knew the lore and stuff of Halo knew that this was a game where you weren't really going to come out of it well. I mean, the title opening sequence where you just see the helmet with a bullet through it. Then the trailer, the cutscene starts and you realize it's your helmet. Should tell you a lot. It's a game where you see all of the other characters, bar maybe two. Yeah, but like maybe two. One definitely dies throughout the game. At the end of it, you go into basically a firefight scenario where you just keep fighting and fighting against endless odds, seeing how long you survive, and then a cutscene plays, and you see your character die. It has a tone which no other Halo game has had, and it's the only first-person shooter I've played with that tone. I'm not a big first-person shooter game fan, but I did love
everyone
this game.
dies.
I have played so much of this game with Amy in Firefight or just running through the campaign. It's the only Halo game I believe I've completed multiple times on Legendary by myself. It is a game I just loved, and is a game that I owned the day before I owned the system I could play it on. Because I played it at Amy's, I believe, knew I loved it, bought it, and then the next day I got it because I bought it from somewhere else, and then I got the console from work because I needed someone's help bringing back an Xbox 360 because they were heavy.
Yeah.
And it was a mile. It was a mile from the place I was getting it, and I was like, I could wait a day, or I could get a bus. Buses are really expensive. I'll wait a day.
Just sitting on a bus, hugging an Xbox 360 box, like, please don't.
Yeah,
make me.
that's a good way to get robbed.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was. I mean, it's a wonderful game. We played lots of the matchmaking, which was good. It has been surpassed, but it was good. It was an amazing game in many respects. Had different. It tried and innovated a bit on the Halo 3 base. And I think we played that game for like a year, maybe a year and a half, like decently, like maybe like
Till the Xbox 360 stopped.
Yeah.
It was like, once it was like, oh, playing Xbox Ones, what's this Titanfall game? Like, we pretty much played Halo Reach, like, all the way up until that point.
Yeah, I mean, I did the Titanfall when that came out because that was amazing. But we've discussed that. Yeah, it's an amazing game. It deals with the narratives of death and loss in a way which no other first-person shooter I have played deals with. And it is graphically, visually, like orderly, an amazing game. One of the best Halo games. I'm really looking forward for it to come into the Master Chief Collection.
Yes.
And getting crushed by drop pods and making Amy laugh so much you get blown up by grunts.
Keith had this unfortunate habit while we were playing Firefight of he'd run off in a direction and a drop pod would land on him. Happened like 3 times. It was really funny. Like, oh, I'm just going to go and get this. And there'd be like a leg sticking out underneath it.
There used to be clips online. I don't know if Amy still has them.
Oh, if I could find my old Xbox 360 account, I might be able to find them. Like, I found our old Rock Band pictures, so I should be able to find these. Oh man, we're gonna play so much Firefight when Halo Reach comes out in the Master Chief Collection, because that was really, really good. Like, everybody was like, Horde mode, and I was like, what's Horde mode? I've never played Gears of War. And then I'd be like, I play Firefight in Halo Reach. I'd be like, that, basically. Oh, okay. Like, oh, I really like this. I love the story. I'm with you on the story as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty brutal. I played it in one go, which made it even more brutal.
It is, and certain deaths are brutal. Certain deaths are just sort of, why did that happen? That was like completely random and like had no real story. No, that's war. Sometimes people just die, and you don't get any revenge or pathos or like anything. It's just they're gone. That's it.
Yeah,
they weren't killed by the big bad. You don't get revenge. That's it.
That's what it was built up to be. The like Halo Reach, like they talked about it in previous games and stuff, where it was like, oh, it's the thing that happened just before Halo 1, where it was like rocks fall, everybody dies, like the whole planet got destroyed.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, they're making a game of it. Cool. I wonder what the tone of this game will be. Oh dear.
Dead parent.
All about the party bus. Da, 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 da.
There was I remember I was playing it when I was living with my ex at the time, and I remember she was walking through and like everybody was dropping at this point, like fucking all the squad mates and stuff. And it was one of the deaths where it was like a self-sacrificial death, like later on, not the first one, later. And it was okay. We ended up having this really interesting discussion where she basically watched this guy, who was I think the unit commander, like fly into one of the giant basket things.
Yeah,
that's the one. Like to make sure that you could keep going, and like we had this really interesting discussion that just broke out randomly from that moment, which was like I could never imagine. Like she would say, I could never imagine like doing that like self-sacrifice thing, and I was like, been playing this game for like 6 hours, like just emotionally like drained. Like that's like the 6th person I've just watched die. Like
yeah, because George and Kat died before that,
and then the dude flies off, and then there's all the Marines and all the other people and the civilians, and then there's the dude with the shotgun dies last.
So which button do you press to pay respects?
You don't.
There is no pay respects.
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare hadn't invented that mechanic yet. So.
Yeah. Or wake up if that Kojima trailer, right?
Well, let's not get into that. Yeah. So Halo Reach. I mean, again, 3 solid picks. FF7. I wrote Doom with about 16 was Doom. And then I wrote 90s after it, and then Halo Reach. This has been a good episode. I'll add them to the document, and I guess I'll see you guys in a month, and we'll do this again.
Hey.
Yay, I will hopefully not be a tiny box in the top corner of the screen. Don't forget, I'm up here. We'll be back with this in a month. We do videos. Yep. Other corner. Keith's underneath me. Oh, you just waving. Like, whoa. If we all time it, maybe we can...
There's no way we could time that together.
No.
Yeah, there are cool videos up on the channel like every single goddamn weekday. That's why I look so tired all the time. Say bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.